Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your Tru Heel Phenom SP3. We are back once again with our weekly podcast, Tru Heel Heat 111. On this edition of Tru Heel Heat, we will be discussing the latest wrestling news, including week 64 of the Wednesday Night Wars, with featuring Edge on WWE NXT, and of course the latest with the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, as well as AEW with New Japan Pro Wrestling's own KENTA of the Bullet Club appearing. We also have the fallout from WWE Royal Rumble 2021 and WrestleMania plans taking shape. Lars Sullivan gets released. Announcement of a TV deal for New Japan Pro Wrestling, and preview and predictions for New Japan Pro Wrestling New Beginning in Hiroshima 2-night event coming up next week, and a little bit more. But of course, we have with us once again the princess of all the Tru Heels, the beautiful, the lovely Miss Krssi Love.
Hello, hello, hello. As I see, I'm repping my girl today. It's Black History Month. I'm so excited for today's show. Let's do it. Let's dive in.
Absolutely, our first of Black History Month for 2021. But you know, our resident Tru Heel alcoholic, like we always tell you guys, he is a busy man. He will either be joining us pretty late, or he will be back with us on the next episode. But he has big shoes always to fill when he's not with us. But we have someone that I think may fit the bill. Fit the bill. That can join us. He is a podcaster like us. He is a teacher, a musician. He actually has composed wrestling entrance themes for various different promotions. I'm gonna let himself put him over with the different promotions so he can have his brush off the shoulder moment. He is the one, the only John Kiernan.
You always give me such good introductions, man. And what an introduction to the most over podcast in professional wrestling, Tru Heel Heat. It's always such an honor to be with y'all and just be talking about all things wrestling. You guys are always covering it all. And that's something that not a lot of podcasts do. Not a lot of podcasts can cover it all, and y'all do it. Like you guys said at the top of the hour, I've done themes for people in different promotions, Ring of Honor, AEW, New Japan. Basically, if there's a promotion out there, an indie wrestler or a professional wrestler of any size, I'm the guy to go to. Thank you all so much for who have worked with me so far. I'm excited to work with y'all going forward. But we are here to talk about all of the great things that happened this week. You kind of brought it up at the beginning. A little bit of New Japan, AEW coming together. Finally, the door has been kicked open.
Wide open.
The forbidden door may be open, folks, and we will get into it. Of course, this is a reminder to everyone watching on our YouTube channel. If you haven't already, if you are new, push that subscribe button. You can also push the iCard right there. That will help you subscribe. Of course, push the bell to press all for all notifications for all the great content right here on Tru Heel Heat. If you enjoy Tru Heel Heat, give us a thumbs up. If you don't, let us know in the comments section below. We are very close to 1K, and remarkably, there is somehow almost 50% of you watching on YouTube that haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet.
Guys, come on.
So you need to get on it, and you guys will help us get across that milestone.
Come on, let's go.
And of course, if you are watching us on Powered 4 TV, you can subscribe to Powered 4 TV. There's a couple of different ways for you to do it. But if you want to save some money with Powered 4 TV, you can now do it with my promo code, my personal promo code. SP3, because I am now one of the correspondents for Powered 4 TV with a new show on Mondays, 5 p.m. BST. That's 12 p.m. here, EST. And it's called Powered 4 SP3. So you could check that out on Powered 4 TV if you want to get all the different promotions. Tru Heel Heat is on there. Stewie's Wrestling Podcast, Wrestling Travel. You could subscribe using SP3 as the promo code. So good news there. And this edition of Tru Heel Heat is brought to you guys by Mission Pro Wrestling. This is going to come out just a few hours before their big show this Saturday, February 6th in Voodoo, Texas. In Pinball's Kingdom it's a crazy place. It looks like a circus. It's a lot of fun if you're watching on TV or whether you're there. If you're in the Texas area, you can get a ticket on missionprowrestling.com, or you could watch it on Title Match Wrestling Network like I will. So I hope you will as well. And Mission Pro Wrestling, we got a bunch of good stuff on our YouTube channel right now that you could check out. My interview with Holodead gets real, it gets passionate, and we show some love for our good brother Darius Carter. So it's a bunch of great on that interview. So check it out, and of course check out Wishes Granted Saturday, February 6th. If you're watching this after Saturday, check it out on Title Match Wrestling Network. Great service over there to watch professional wrestling. So
real quick, I got to cut you off for a second because you talked about Mission Pro Wrestling. You talked about the show coming up. I also got to rep my girl Masha Slamovich, who has come back from Japan to take Mission Pro Wrestling over. I wrote a theme for her about a year ago. I think she's going to be using it out there also. But if y'all don't know Masha, she's basically coming in. She's going to be dominating that scene over there. So give your love to her when you see her. Japan's been great to her, but she's back to conquer the U.S. for a little bit of time here. Just had to put her over real quick also.
And it's funny you mentioned that, sir, because, you know, I don't know if it'll be out by the time you watch this live, if you're watching on the live version, or when we drop this on Saturday, or you're watching afterwards, but you will probably see SP3 in an interview with Masha Slamovich. I agree with you. She is taking it by storm, and I heard her name. I hadn't seen her yet, and I said that's one of the greatest wrestling names ever. Masha Slamovich. I was just like, yes. I need to meet her. I need to chat with her. So that will be up on the YouTube channel as well. But speaking of the YouTube channel, we got to shout out you, the subscribers of our YouTube channel. Everyone supporting us on our social media. We always got to shout you out. So we start off with the Tru Heel roll call and our top 3 conversation starters, the Tru Heel Trinity, or the Nick Jacksons of the world. We have coming in at number 3, James Wims. Coming in at number 2, we got Amp McLennan Dominic. And coming in at number 1, once again, is Josh Mitchell. We got a couple of Tru Heels to shout out. We got Josh David, Matt Morton, and 5th Generation Carney, who was very busy in our live chat. We want to thank you, sir. You were providing a lot of stuff for us to talk about during our live pay-per-view roundtable review for the Royal Rumble 2021. Man, it was 8 of us. It was crazy.
Jam-packed.
Different Wi-Fi and lag, and it was so much hijinks, so funny, so much fun. But check out that chaos that's up on the YouTube channel as well. A couple of YouTube subscriber highlights. We got CMSTTP. To be fair, I only see Shadow, but besides that, I like the content, man. Talking about Romeo Report number 6. Krssi Love, have you seen the Romeo Report number 6, the new edition?
I attempted to watch it and then I turned it off because it's pure foolishness. So therefore, love you, Romeo, but right now, take the L, friend. It's okay. It's okay.
John, we will talk about the Royal Rumble shortly, but our good friend Romeo pointed out that apparently Bianca Belair's feet did touch the floor. What's your thoughts? Do you think that Bianca is this generation's rockin' Royal Rumble 2000?
Number 1, don't start this right now. Because Bianca Belair needs to be going to the WrestleMania. She needs to be in there, and she needs to take the championship from whoever she decides to challenge first. Second, 100%. But you know what? If you want to spin this, and we do want to say that the feet touch the floor, okay, fine. We got like a month and a half until WrestleMania, 2 months almost. You got to have a feud going there. Rhea Ripley's always going to deliver. Bianca Belair's always going to deliver. And you know what? I'm cool with Rhea Ripley taking an ass kicking on the way to WrestleMania for Bianca Belair. Let's do it. That's cool. But let's just make it seamless. Her feet didn't touch the floor. I don't care what the photos say. You could have chosen a different angle. We're good. Bianca Belair is going to WrestleMania. That's what it is. Keep it going.
Thank you. See, well said, sir. Well said.
That is a message to you, Romeo. He says he's just a reporter, folks, but he is.
No, you're very salty. You've been salty since the Royal Rumble. All your people lost that night, and you were salty ever since. Please stop it, friend. I love you. Love you to death. But you salty. Take the L, friend. It's okay. Everyone can't be... Your winners can't always win.
Can't wait to have him back on. Kwame Shafir says on Tru Heel Heat 110, WWE has too many pay-per-views, and they can fix that problem by getting rid of the themed pay-per-views like Elimination Chamber and filler pay-per-views like Fastlane. Raw 20 years ago was a show that was a can't-miss show that was 2 hours. Fast forward to 2021, 3-hour Raw is cancerous within itself and produce boring, repetitive, unexciting, overproduced, intelligence-insulting, sleep-inducing television. That is very descriptive. Woo! So Krssi, I think you agree with that, don't you?
I've been saying it for a long time. We don't need to have all these pay-per-views, especially on our road to WrestleMania. We don't need one in March. Let's just have just fill it in, at least few down and Raw, impactful, where we are, and we want to tune in for the next week, and we don't have to watch a pay-per-view of meaningless matches to go to WrestleMania.
You got some good points there, and we will be talking about the Royal Rumble for sure. Kayfabe Tactics is our last one, our king of the comment section. He says, I enjoyed the show well enough talking about Tru Heel Heat 110, but it was pretty much just on in the background while I did other shit. I think he's talking about the Royal Rumble. I'll pay attention to you all, though, because you are great. Hope 2021 is doing good things for you all. Have a great week. So we got to talk about the big news. We got to start things off with what we miss, and what we miss was a very interesting Wednesday night of the Wednesday Night Wars between WWE NXT and AEW Dynamite. I'll just be honest off the bat, folks. More specifically, AEW Dynamite. But we start things off, as always, telling you the ratings. Then we tell you what happened. And we go around our panel of hosts. And we decide what we thought was the better show for the week. So, Miss Krssi Love, do you want to hit the drums?
Yes, sir.
So, for week 64 of the Wednesday Night Wars, going head-to-head, WWE NXT comes in with 610,000 viewers. That is down from last week when they did 720,000 viewers. To AEW Dynamite with their Beach Break special with 844,000 viewers. That is up from last week's 734,000. Over on AEW Beach Break, we had Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers defeat Jon Moxley, Pac, and Rey Fenix in a great main event matchup. And then, the shocker of all shockers, New Japan Pro Wrestling's own KENTA of the Bullet Club debuted and attacked Moxley after the match. Next week, Omega teams with KENTA to face Moxley and Lance Archer in a lights-out, non-sanctioned matchup because KENTA is a part of New Japan Pro Wrestling and they can't sanction it under AEW. But this follows up with what we talked about last time with Moxley appearing on New Japan Strong, which is in the US. So We will talk about it in depth. Also on AEW Dynamite, Chris Jericho and MJF win the Tag Team Battle Royal to get a shot at the AEW World Tag Team titles. We had Britt Baker defeat Thunder Rosa in a rock-solid, gritty grudge match. Really one of my favorite matches in on either show for Wednesday night this week. Orange Cassidy and Charles Taylor, the Butler, got the last laugh on Miro and Kip at the wedding, which featured the Sinister Minister, James Mitchell. We also had Cody and Red Velvet versus Shaq and Jade Cargill is made official for the March 3rd AEW Dynamite. And the lineup for AEW's Women's Championship Eliminator Tournament is set with returns of Riho, Yuka Sakazaki, and Aja Kong, as well as debut of Stardom and Yoshi Pro talent. WWE NXT had the Rated R Superstar and the 2021 men's Royal Rumble winner Edge show up on the show and help hype Finn Balor versus Pete Dunne for TakeOver Vengeance Day, which is on Valentine's Day, and confront Karrion Kross. We also saw Ciampa and Thatcher defeat Cole and Strong in a very strong main event. We also had Legado del Fantasma defeat Lucha House Party to advance in the Dusty Cup. Both of those matches. Dakota and Raquel beat Casey and Kaden to advance in the Women's Dusty Cup. And Santos Escobar defeated Kurt Stalin to successfully defend the NXT Cruiserweight title. So, broke down both shows. Pretty much the noteworthy stuff. So I'm going to kick it over to you guys. We're going to start with our special guest, John. What did you think was the better show for the week?
AEW this week proved how you book a pro wrestling show. And by that, I mean not a pro wrestling show that is out to compete with your competition, but simply a pro wrestling show. AEW, first and foremost, I love Thunder Rosa and I love Britt Baker. And I've been grateful for a while to see how AEW has taken the NWA talent and the UWN talent and really tried to integrate them into the AEW product. But this is what WWE tends to do. But they have Raw, SmackDown, NXT, 205 Live, NXT UK. They have their whole universe under one umbrella. So it doesn't always feel natural when the worlds merge. You're like, oh, this person just was free on a Wednesday or something like that. Okay. But here, you go ahead and you build up someone like Thunder Rosa, who we all know is amazing. Thunder Rosa has had a great last 2 years, I would say. She's just hoofing it on her own, doing everything. They built up her stock so much in AEW for this feud, and the match was great, but this is what you bring people like Thunder Rosa in for. You bring someone like Thunder Rosa in, have a lot of credit, but then you have this one talent that you know you want to get over that's really good, and you have her go over this other talent. And because they're external, it doesn't really hurt them too much. They're like, oh, they got play on AEW, but they're still contracted to NWA and all that. So I thought that was really good. That main event was great. Again, just another showcasing of what they're trying to do. I think it's really interesting, too, because they're kind of painting Moxley as a person who's going to fight everybody, but is now just trying to find people to team with him, too. It's kind of one of those things where he's painted himself as much as a loner, so obviously when you put him up against what is essentially the elite, you have a team with such good chemistry, and him, who's a great fighter, but it's like, okay, he's never teamed with these guys before, he's never teamed with this guy before, okay, cool, and then guess what? At the end of the match, who's going to come in? But KENTA, the guy who's been looking for a championship match for almost half a year now, and I just can't say enough good things about how this show was booked. I think NXT had some great matches, it had some great moments, But, I mean, I don't know if they knew some of the stuff that was going to happen. If WWE was kind of privy to, oh, Kenta's going to come over, so let's bring Edge down. But when we knew that Charlotte and Rhea were going to tie it up, it was believable because Rhea was in her face on other shows. Like, there was a lot. So you were like, okay, cool, that's the direction they're going. I don't think anyone really believes that Edge is going to compete for the NXT title. So it was legitimately like, it was cool to see him. And it was like when John Cena came on NXT like 7-8 years ago. That was cool. But you know that Edge is not going to, and you know he's not going to fight Karrion Kross, and you know that he's not going to spear Finn Balor out of the air of a coup de grace. If that happens, though, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. But I just think that this week AEW put on a superior product in general, and those ratings are well deserved. I've got nothing but good things to say about the show, up and down.
Great stuff. Great insight on both shows. Krssi, love, what did you think was the better show this week?
AEW was great. Even though I thought it was all over the place, I didn't feel like the well put together show like it usually is. But I think the ending saved it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
The wedding was just all over the place. I was just like, okay, what is happening right now? Like, what is he saying? Okay, like, talk already. Like, I hate that whole segment. A third in the trash. I'm sorry. NXT wasn't bad either. They both wasn't bad shows. I think the main event was great. I love, like he said, we all know that Edge is not going to face Finn Balor or Karrion Kross. We just know, like, we just know that it's not happening. Now, it was great to see him interact with the younger guys on the show, and like he said, he watched it at home. He's a fan, and he's never been in this. It wasn't around when he was there, so it was actually pretty good. Like, I love the whole story that he was telling. I love, like, he's edging the two guys on. I thought that was really, really good. So I enjoyed that part of the show as well. I didn't understand why Scarlett was out there when it was the cruiserweight title happening. Is that what it was? That was.
Basically what happened was Santos Escobar cut a promo and he basically insulted Karrion Kross, saying that he's not a champion that gets his shoulder hurt and has to relinquish his title.
Oh, okay, got it. So that's where the TikTok came in at. Got it now. Okay, now I understand why she was there. Because I was like, maybe because I walked away and I come back, I was like, why is she even here? Like, I'm so confused. Anywho, I'm going to only give it to AEW because they had the save at the ending with KENTA coming. Now, this is how you put a brand-to-brand invitational in rolling. This is how the real brand-to-brand invitation works, guys. Take notes, WWE. Like, we are officially doing brand-to-brand. Like, we're doing all of them now. Like, you can't, like... AEW is on a roll. Like they've surpassed WWE like tenfold now. They've surpassed them. I really think, like, if they keep doing what they're doing, the sky is the limit for them. What they are doing is just like pure, like, golden right now. And for you to have all of these companies saying, yes, we will work with you. Yes, we will do this with you. Like, this is like, no one's done this. So
That's true.
This is wonderful, and I think this is what wrestling needs. I think they need it. So my answer is going to be AEW for the win. Sorry to go on and on and on, but yes, there you go.
No, preach. I'm gonna make it unanimous that I agree with you guys. AEW wins this week. They just had a stronger, well-built show, and they're building this reputation with their specials of big moments or big endings, big angles at the end, because you had New Year's Smash Night 1 with the Too Sweet at the end with the whole Bullet Club reunion. You had Winter is Coming with Omega winning the title and teaming up with Don Callis. And now you got this whole situation with KENTA from New Japan Pro Wrestling coming in. And I said it last night that there hasn't been a company in a very long time that brings hope and excitement as often as AEW. Like WWE, I think we all felt it, especially during like this year's Royal Rumble, knowing it was going to be a little bit different. But I heard a lot of people saying that, you know, around the Royal Rumble and the road to WrestleMania, there's a sense of hope for WWE fans. But I feel like AEW, you know, outside of the road to WrestleMania when it comes to WWE, I don't feel like they give us that much hope and excitement. And I think that's the period of the year that they dedicate to giving us some type of hope and excitement. But I just feel like AEW has been doing it on a more often base, and I feel like they're on a roll as far as like their television. Their television consistently hits, and that's why like I think it was a week ago or 2 weeks ago when when I said NXT was better, it was because AEW was down by their own standard, and they're setting a high standard. So it's their fault, but they did a good job of meeting their standard on this show. The main event was great. The post-match angle was excellent. I just felt so much excitement knowing that the Forbidden Door is possibly open. We'll get through notes from Dave Meltzer on what says notes on the working relationship between AEW and New Japan. But what do you guys think of a whole wrestling alliance between AEW and, considering the fact last night on Dynamite they had superstars from New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, NWA, and AAA. What would you think of like a whole wrestling alliance where these companies come together and have a pay-per-view? And what would be your main event? If it's not even all the companies I just named, talking about the particular two with AEW and New Japan, or even throwing in Impact Wrestling in there, what would be your main event? I'll let it marinate for you. I'll throw out a little bit of possibilities that I haven't seen a lot of people name, but I don't know about main event, but this is a match I would love to see: Eddie Kingston versus Minoru Suzuki. I just feel like that would be so much fun. That would just be brutal. It'd be hard hitting. I just would love to see it.
Someone's gonna die.
Absolutely. Pretty much that's the base for it. Someone's gonna die.
I was upset that Kingston lost last night, though.
Well, yeah. That was a down note. That Battle Royal was another one, was a little bit of a clusterfuck. I
told you it was all over the place. So
Well, let's talk about this for a second too. New Japan, Kota Ibushi is the double champion right now, correct?
Yes.
My boy.
So in a way, well, first and foremost, you're all exactly right that this is how you create the Marvel Cinematic Universe of wrestling.
Right.
Marvel's not competing with DC. They're their own thing. They're like, hey, we're pro wrestling. We're bringing everyone together. So what is a greater story in wrestling right now with your top champions than Kota Ibushi as the double strap champion of New Japan, who finally is getting his thing after his good friend Kenny Omega started and jumped ship to AEW. Now he's coming back as the cleaner, and he's coming back as what he used to be. Kota Ibushi is finally hitting that place. What is a better main event than Kota Ibushi? What is a bigger money match than Kenny Omega going one-on-one with not just one, but 3 titles on the line? The dual strap and the AEW championship. And, if Kenny Omega wants to go and pick up other titles on the way, so be it. Basically, all of the titles versus the biggest title in Japan, and it arguably one of the most prestigious titles. That's your main event for whatever your big pay-per-view is going to be.
It's a match we've talked about quite often on this podcast since Winter is Coming, when Omega won the AEW World Title, started the whole belt collector gimmick. Krssi Love, what's your main event for this Super Show?
I was gonna say Ibushi. I'm gonna throw in Darby Allin. I'm gonna also throw in. I want to see. I have 2. I have a women and I have a men's one. So for the men's, I have Ibushi, Darby, and I want to say, I think Arn. I want to say I would like to put in. From the inner circle, I will put in MJF.
So Darby, MJF, and Kota Ibushi.
Correct.
That's an interesting mix. I like that.
Cool.
That's one I wouldn't have thought of. All right.
I know.
I like it. So.
And for the ladies,
oh yeah,
I would put Thunder Rosa, Bianca, and.
Well, Bianca can't be in it because WWE.
Oh yes, that's right. They can't. Damn
She could be in whatever we want her to. She could go where she wants and do what she wants.
You can put on your fantasy booking hat, but you know.
It's not gonna happen. Okay, then no worries.
I was like, I know this is a Bianca, a pro Bianca show, but she's not in any of the companies.
Yeah, it's okay. Never mind.
To answer John's question, the one match that will be bigger than Kota Ibushi versus Kenny Omega, and that would be huge, especially with all the titles on the line, their whole story, the Golden Lovers. We talked about it so many times on the show. There's one match that is bigger. Drunk Uncle Dave, yes, Dud, Dave Meltzer. He did bring this up, so I have to give him credit. On Wrestling Observer Radio, the one match that there is bigger is on U.S. soil. Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada. To have it on U.S. soil, to bring it upon eyes that haven't seen it before, that haven't been exposed to it before, and I am one that will admit, and there will be many that will admit the same thing, when the G1 Supercard was announced in the summer of 2018. The reason I got a ticket is because I believed the main event was going to be Omega Okada 5. So I know people will buy a ticket literally to see this match, especially if it's announced ahead of time. So they are in a situation where they're bringing fans back into there. But just talking about pay-per-view buy rates alone, I think it will draw a lot of eyes. It will set the record for AEW, and it may be the biggest buy rate of anything except for like WWE buy rates. I think that it would do huge numbers, and that would be your main event. What do you think, John? I see you making faces.
Yeah. That's a tough one because I got YouTube and I got New Japan World, you know, like that's a tough one. And I'm not trying to bury that or anything. It's just we've had such good matches before with them, you know. I mean, when you're talking about creating this new universe where there's this collaboration, right? I get that we could have Okada and Omega on US soil, and sure, it will sell tickets, but the overarching message that you're selling here is something that you've talked on Being the Elite about, something that you've talked in New Japan about, something that you've talked in AEW about, because they brought up Kota Ibushi in all of those things. They brought up that relationship with all of them. Kenny Omega brings up all of them. He doesn't bring up that match with Okada all the time, or the second match, or the third match, or the fourth match. I mean, they're great matches. They deserve all of the accolades they have. But again, I can go back and watch them. And it's not like there's been 10 years of time in between. Like, if Rock and Stone Cold came out and had another match now, my mind would be blown, because it's been how much time between them. Regardless if the match would be great or not, the point is, Brock Lesnar and Undertaker fought in 2002 and had some brutal knockdown, drag-out fights, right? Then all of a sudden, 10, 12, however many years later, they have a completely different style of match, and you're like, those were just as crazy. That was cool. So for me, there hasn't been that much time that's passed. When you said Dave Meltzer, I was like, are you saying Dave Meltzer's going to get in the ring? Because I would buy a ticket for that. Have Meltzer take a Meltzer driver. Oh my God. It would be poetic. But no, I don't know. I think the Ibushi story and the Omega story isn't one that's hit its finale yet. And if you're a wrestling fan, that's the trajectory. If you're a wrestling fan, you're like, that is like storytelling gold. That's storytelling going from years ago through different companies that they've never really fought at that capacity to now. Like, you could make this whole thing, oh, we've had joke matches where we've done this, and you can kind of nudge, you know, some other the podcast peoples. You can go ahead and say we've had these blowout matches in tag team action together, and you could build this whole story. I don't think you can get that from Okada and Omega yet. A couple years later, yeah, but not now.
I think you can, because the only time I remember people telling Okada and Omega they can't was after the first Okada and Omega, where they said you can't have as great of a match as you did in the Tokyo Dome, and they did it. People a few skeptics said they couldn't do it again the third time. No one said that the fourth time. So I'm not gonna say it if they want to do it the first time in front of the US. I think it's a different type of atmosphere. I think it's a different type of audience. And I know with Kenny Omega, he's gonna give a different type of match. So I have faith that they will give us something different, and they have all that history in New Japan that they can bring over here and tell the story to the US market on the mainstream on TNT as well. So, Krssi Love, what's your thoughts? Do you think that we're going to see more crossover between AEW and New Japan moving forward? And if so, who is the one person from New Japan you want to see on AEW?
Definitely, if they can get over here and get clearance and with this whole like pandemic that we're supposedly still in right now, definitely I see more of them coming over slowly but surely. I definitely want to see Ibushi come over. Yeah, we've already just started the wheels, and this whole like since Kenta's came and like he's a part of like the Bullet Club, like this is all like a whole like hopefully more Bullet Club people will come. I'm excited, you know. I love them, so I can't wait to see them. This is exciting.
So one thing we haven't mentioned with the Forbidden Door, which Krssi brought up, great segue, is the Bullet Club, and we've been seeing Tama Tonga a lot. He hasn't been very happy with the Bullet Club reunion on his social media. We saw Jay White return this week on the road to New Beginning, shutting down all the rumors about him going to WWE or going to AEW, wherever he was going. He also confirmed Dave Meltzer's report that he signed a 7-year deal back in 2018. So we have a couple of more years of the Switchblade in New Japan. But he cut a vicious promo once again. He's another one. I'm saying right now, Edge and Jay White are very close for promo of the year right now. We're on in February. But promo of the year is Edge and Jay White right now. But Jay White cut another one talking about a cheap ripoff Bullet Club having fake reunions on television, and that he is a part of the real Bullet Club with Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, the Gorillas of Destiny. So we see Kenta cross the line, show up on AEW. He helps Kenny Omega. We saw a backstage segment on their social media with Kenta saying to go fuck himself to Kenny when Kenny tried to talk to him backstage. So we see that the battle lines have kind of been drawn, but now we see some type of crossover. How about Bullet Club versus Bullet Club, blood and guts? What do you think about that dream match, John?
Ooh, I would love to see that. And they're building the story so well, like you said. Kenny is just like, hey, Bullet Club, what's up, dude? And he's like, go fuck yourself. I'm here for Jon Moxley. That is so perfect. And remember, Kenta wasn't in the Bullet Club with Kenny Omega. He was in the new Bullet Club. So if you take it into storyline, Jay White and Tama Tonga have been talking that shit. Totally cool. I'm totally about that. I would love to see a blood and guts for it. And you could even, if you wanted to fantasy book off of the Ibushi Omega match, that's how you close out, let's say, the AEW pay-per-view that closes out, right? Let's say Kenny Omega has to win that because he's on U.S. soil, let's say. Cool. Then all of a sudden, they do the WWE thing where they throw up that little graphic at the bottom. They're like, good night, everybody. And Tama Tonga and them do the whole firing squad thing. They come out. They basically just lay waste to AEW. And they're just like, you had to make this company off of our blood. Now we're going to spill that blood. And it goes, and then you're off to the races with it. And Jay White is at the forefront of that. I think I think it would be great, and that's how you could build the blood and guts. Okay, you spilled our blood, top match in AEW, like Hell in a Cell is in WWE comparatively, blood and guts. And that's how you build that back in, instead of just being like, join us January 25th for a cage match. You're like, all right. So I think it's great. I think it's going to happen, and I think there are a lot of seeds and roots that are planted to make it just the most successful thing.
Absolutely. Jay White's doing great work, and I think that we have a great story, especially with if it's Omega leading this American Bullet Club of America and Jay White leading the Bullet Club of New Japan. you have the history of Jay White has defeated Kenny Omega, and Kenny Omega has never defeated Jay White. So that's in
I
itself.
like that.
And the whole journey of Switchblade kind of started when he rejected Kenny Omega's invitation into the Bullet Club, and then he turned around 10 months later and joined the Bullet Club as the leader. So great storytelling, and there's a lot for them to go through there. So that's not the only thing that we missed, of course. This past Sunday, WWE Royal Rumble 2021, one of the biggest shows of the year for WWE, and there was a lot to unpack from these shows as far as what happened on the shows and news falling out of it. So, first of all, we will start with the main event. We had Edge going from number one spot, which was announced on WWE Backstage on Saturday before the show, to win the Men's Royal Rumble match, which also featured the return of his former tag team partner and best friend, Captain Charisma, Christian. Great moment right there. But Edge pulling out the endurance after being on the shelf for over 8 months and coming from number one to win the Royal Rumble. He went 60 minutes, according to WWE records, probably like 58, but I'll go by WWE records. 60 minutes, 32 seconds, one of the longest times in the Royal Rumble, and he becomes the third man to go from the number one spot to win the match. Edge comes back to a full-time schedule. Apparently, he's actually said publicly that he's not here to, appear 1 week and then be off for 8 weeks. If he's going to be main eventing WrestleMania, he's going to be here every single week. And Dave Meltzer reports that he will face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. So, what was your guys' thoughts on Edge winning the Royal Rumble, and what would you like to see Edge versus Roman Reigns, Battle of the Spears at WrestleMania? We will go to you first, Miss Krssi Love. I hear you.
First of all, when we did our predictions, I did not say didn't really care. Personally, I would have picked more of a younger blood of person to win, but I'm happy that he won. Kudos, yes. But if we are going to do, like, I don't know, I just wouldn't have picked Edge to win. Sorry. It is what it is. I'm happy that he's going to be on the show week after week if he's going to go to WrestleMania. Him versus Roman, I don't see it on paper yet. I don't get it. Make spear versus spear. Okay, yeah. I don't see it has to be something bigger for I got to see the story. I got to understand like how the buildup is going to be. If he's going to go against the tribal chief, I want to understand why he wants to be against the tribal chief. Like, what are you trying to prove? Like, what is the purpose of you picking me? I mean, I don't see. I don't know. I have to see what the buildup is going to be like. I'm not excited for it yet. Put it like that.
Well, I'll just create a scenario here.
Okay, you do it, friend.
I love to put on my fantasy booking hat.
Okay.
Oh, you have Edge. He's appearing on SmackDown this week. I'm
sure he will be there.
I'm pulling the curtain, folks. Yes, we're filming this on a Thursday. This is gonna drop on a Saturday, so you'll know what happens on SmackDown before I do. But I'm creating this scenario for you. Edge comes out. He says he hasn't decided yet who he's gonna verse at WrestleMania, like he did with Drew McIntyre on Raw. He warned him he's playing a dangerous game. And we'll talk about what happened to Drew because Edge said that. But he can do the same thing with Roman Reigns. He can be like, you're playing a dangerous game. You're playing with your family for your own good, for your own benefit. And then Roman can throw that right back at Edge and bring up Christian. You're using your family. He's coming back. He's coming back because he wants to be like you. Because he wants to following your footsteps. You made a miraculous comeback, so he had to make one too. And you're gonna put him in harm's way. And then later on in the night, Roman and Jay, they attack Christian backstage. They lay him out. Edge finds him, and that gives Edge the motivation and the reason to pick Roman Reigns to verse him at WrestleMania.
Okay. That's just one day, though. Let's do
You can build it. That's a narrative that you can start off with, and you can build the narrative. Christian could be off for a couple of weeks, and you can get through a couple of weeks of the forces of the two Canadians, Edge and Kevin Owens, versus the bloodline of Jey Uso and Roman.
Okay, I get it.
And just when Edge and Kevin Owens look like they're getting the upper hand, who comes back? Jimmy Uso. And now the bloodline have a 3-on-2 advantage, and they're taking down Kevin Owens and Edge, who are trying to team up together. A couple of weeks later, it's a tag team match. It's a whole brawl of Usos versus Kevin Owens and Edge. And then who comes back? Christian. Now you got a whole 6 people that you can build your way to WrestleMania over the next 2.5 months.
Okay,
I just did your work for you, WWE, if you're watching.
But they're gonna do some crazy foolishness, so we'll see. But I like the scenario. Let's see what happens. Let's go. Okay.
You gotta have faith with Roman Reigns. We've been seeing good stuff from him.
I got lots of faith in Roman. I don't know what.
He's been the best thing about WWE over the last couple of months. So, John, what's your thoughts on Edge winning the Royal Rumble, doing this endurance record, being the Iron Man, going from number 1 to win the whole thing, and then the potential Edge versus Roman WrestleMania match?
I gotta say real quick, I feel bad for Christian in your booking because he just went from being a legend, getting the shit kicked out of him by Orton, that he's gonna be going into another feud in your book and getting the shit kicked out of him by Roman Reigns. Basically, he's just like that's the underlying theme. Christian comes back to get the shit kicked out of him to then propel another feud. But like it's crazy, man. I didn't want Edge to win. Not like I was vehemently against it, but I was like, okay, cool, like he's won. Okay, what do you do? The two scenarios. Okay, let's say he goes against Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is going to beat him because they're going to basically put the title on Roman Reigns until he can drop it to either, I don't know, The Rock. Like, that's the match. That's the match they're going to try to do. And you don't have to take it off Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is doing great work. He can literally just keep saying, I'm putting this company on my shoulders. That could be his whole story, and you get pissed, take the title off of him, and no one can, because he's the best thing going right now.
Right.
And then you can put him against Drew McIntyre, and the money spot's going to be Edge going for a spear and him getting Claymore square in the face. Like, that's going to be the... So if you go either of those rows, that's what it's going to be. But I do see that if no one loses their championship before WrestleMania, then it's probably going to be Roman Reigns. But whoever Edge fights is going to beat him. Like, Edge is not winning the championship at WrestleMania, nor should he. There's no way. And he's not challenging at TakeOver anybody for the championship. Let's just get that right out of the way now. Again, talked about it at the top of the hour here. Great spot would totally be a coup de grace into a spear. That's dangerous, and it's not going to happen because this whole story with Edge is he's coming back to prove something, and he's like, I love NXT, but I'm coming back to prove something. I'm going to go to TakeOver. No, that's not what you're doing. You're going to WrestleMania. Like, that's what you're doing. And so, I think it's really cool that he won, but I think he's going to lose whatever effort comes next.
Well, apparently, according to Dave Meltzer, Wrestling Observer, that Edge apparently came up with the idea to win the Royal Rumble. He basically saw that WWE really didn't have a plan. He heard the plans with like Goldberg and Roman. Then he saw Goldberg was versing Drew, so he knew that they didn't have anybody to really verse Roman. So he said he did the old Bob Holly, like, I got a plan. What if I win the Royal Rumble? So he did that, and he went for it. And he also, in this plan, is he wins the Royal Rumble and then goes on to win the title at WrestleMania to complete his redemption story of getting back the title that he never lost.
One thing I gotta say real quick too, I don't know if you all know, but I'm a big Funko fan, like a big Funko collector of the wrestling kind. So hell yeah, you know what's up. Now, I went ahead and did the whole pre-order, all the new ones they got coming out. The one they didn't have a pre-order of was Edge yet. All right, cool. You know what these fucking people did? They went ahead, they held the pre-order until Edge won the Royal Rumble, and then guess what shows up on my Amazon? You know what you might like? This Edge Funko, and I'm like, you know what? That's scummy, but you're damn right. Ordered.
He said, "In my cart."
That was gonna happen. Yeah.
They study our algorithms. I'm telling you, they do their work. But the other note from the men's Royal Rumble, like I said, was the return of Captain Charisma, Christian. So what are your guys' thoughts? The PW Insider reports that Christian is back on a part-time deal. What is the one match you want to see? If it's one more match for every couple of months. Christian, who would you like to see Christian go against on the WWE roster the most right now? I will start with you, Miss Krssi Love.
So, I'm just gonna say when Christian was like at the heat and was like at the height of everything, like not when he was with Edge, I had checked out of WWE at that time. So I missed most of that stuff. So I have gone back to watch most of those matches, but I wasn't watching wrestling at the time. But for him, I wouldn't mind him going against like Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn.
I like Sami Zayn. I think that
I'm loving Sami Zayn right now too. I think it's so great, and like it's so sad that he's such a good wrestler that they had to put him like in this comedy type deal. Maybe it's his going, but I think what he's doing right now, saying, you know, like he has the picket sign and the documentary happening, I think is a good gimmick. If they just push it and give him like good, strong matches, I think it can go like really, really far. But I would love to see him against like Sami Zayn or Kevin Owens, his fellow peeps,
I like it. Good suggestion right there, John.
Karrion Kross, and here's why. Because first off, I am not the biggest Christian fan. I am a big Karrion Kross fan, so already that's kind of built in. Karrion Kross can just kind of take him out. That's cool. But you want to use Christian really well. What you do is you do kind of what you said before. Like he's coming back with Edge, and they're going to kind of, in their own ways, individually do this thing where, okay, they're making the rounds. Yeah, they're shaking hands, they're kissing babies, they're doing all that, right? Christian then goes down to check out NXT. It's like, man, Edge was here. This is awesome. We all know, as we've talked about, he's not going to challenge. Like, I'm not going to reiterate that anymore. But Christian comes down and he's like, oh, man, nice to see you, Finn, all that kind of stuff. And Karrion's just like, oh, I had a conversation with your boy last time. And Christian's just like, you better not say anything mean to him, because you put him against Edge, and it's just like an unfair comparison. And Christian's just like, he's like, you better watch what you say. And then it's just 3 weeks of Karrion Kross, just like, throwing him through whatever, giving him the worst time. The one thing I will give Christian that Christian is great at is garnering sympathy with the crowd. So what you do is you have him get the one-up the week before a takeover, for example, because Christian's still got stock. So what you do is you have a match for them at TakeOver, and Karrion Kross is like, if I can't get to Edge, I'm going to get to you. By the way, this is part of the segue that you get Karrion Kross to the main roster, because he needs to be up there. He's a money man. You have them go. Christian's going to be like, Edge is busy. I'm going to take care of you. They have the match. He doesn't take care of him. Karrion Kross just puts him to sleep. That's all it is. And it's going to be a really ghastly moment, because Karrion Kross is going to put the straitjacket choke on the guy who sells the best out of anybody. He's the one who sells all of the things the best. So Karrion Kross will come out of that looking just like a monster. And then he can try to go to the main roster to find Edge. And it's like, Edge isn't here. He lost. But guess who else is there? Drew McIntyre. And you start that story.
That would be good stuff, but you came for selfish reasons. You're just trying to put over Karrion Kross over our poor defenseless Christian. I am a huge Christian fan from his tag team days to as a single star. I felt like he had a lot of stock in him as a main eventer, potentially in 2005, before he went over to TNA and became that main eventer, NWA World Champion. That was when I really got invested into TNA, was when Christian made that jump over there, had a good run over there with his team with Tyson Tomko, as well as AJ Styles. So I want Christian to have a good run this time around with WWE. He had his run with ECW and becoming world champion, but I feel like the time he was most important was in that time in TNA, and I want to see a little bit of that. So if he has a part-time schedule, that means to me they're going to treat him better, because they treat everybody with part-time schedules better than our full-timers. So I think they see stock in him as a star, but tag team wise, I want to see Edge and Christian versus the Usos. I think that's going to be so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Edge and Christian
against the young guys, yeah.
Edge and Christian versus the New Day potentially would be a whole lot of fun as well. Edge and Christian versus the Undisputed Era. There's so much with Edge and Christian that I would just love to see. But Christian by himself, I really would love to see Big E, because of the whole story that was supposed to be against Big E, but he couldn't, make concussion protocol. I think there's a lot of story there, especially Big E being the Intercontinental Champion right now, Christian being a former Intercontinental Champion. So I think it's a full circle type of story that would work. But that wasn't the only Royal Rumble stuff on this show. Of course, we had the Women's Royal Rumble with Bianca Belair winning from the number 3 spot, last eliminating Rhea Ripley. She set a record for match time in the Women's Royal Rumble at over 56 minutes. So what did you guys think of Bianca Belair's performance, and who do you see her facing at WrestleMania? Let's start with you, John.
Yeah, I was so happy that Bianca Belair won the Royal Rumble. And there have been a lot of people online who have said, oh, well, like the final 3, Charlotte, Rhea Ripley, and Bianca, could have been all of them. I tend to disagree with that, only because Charlotte could have won, but you have a story built in with Charlotte and Asuka, where if she's not going to be on the main card, she could just go, hey, I beat you once, let's try it again, and they're going to have a killer match. But even if not, whatever Charlotte is involved in, it's going to be big. Rhea Ripley, I feel like, has been more in the putting people over role since WrestleMania, which is fine. Doesn't mean that's bad for her, but she's, they haven't really built a story around her. And Bianca Belair calls herself the EST, and every night she shows that she is, whether she's in a match, whether they did what most fans don't like, and they did that little thing with Bayley where she runs around the ring, the obstacle course. She's the only person who's done one of those obstacle course things, and it was awesome, because she's the best at everything. And you're just like, oh, that's awesome. And I'm not just saying the Otis spot, I'm saying she looked athletic, she looked awesome. She's great. Yeah, she's great on the mic. She does all of this, and the money match is going to be her and Sasha Banks. Now, I'm personally not the biggest Sasha Banks fan because of her frog splash. Everything else is great. But when it comes to the match that people are going to pay money for, Sasha Banks is still one of the top people in the company. She's still a great wrestler. And she'll always be one of the 4 horsewomen. And I think by way of putting Bianca with Sasha Banks, you're saying, okay, the era of the horsewomen brought us into the women's revolution. Now we are going to start showcasing after post-revolution. Here's what we have now. And Bianca Belair should be the flag bearer for years to come. It starts here.
Yeah, I agree 100% with everything you just said, because that really told the story of what this Women's Royal Rumble kind of told us through the work of the great performers of the women's division. I really felt like this whole the biggest takeaway, and I did the article for Sportskeeda for biggest takeaways from Royal Rumble. The biggest takeaway was the ladies are taking over. They took over this entire show. Half the card was dedicated to the women's division. You had the pre-show match, you had the second match on the show, and then you had this match in the middle. And in my opinion, this was one of the first years that the women's Royal Rumble was better than the men's Royal Rumble.
Absolutely.
And a lot of that had to do with the men's Royal Rumble wasn't bad. It was a good Royal Rumble. It just felt like in the middle portion, until Christian came out, it was just a whole bunch of guys that either are mid-carders or you made mid-carders.
Yes.
Like when someone like Ricochet comes out, who you literally did a match where he lost to be in the Royal Rumble, and then he's in the Royal Rumble. How do you expect me to react, WWE? Like I don't be understanding. And
that was me. I was so confused. I was like, wait, I thought the other day he lost, so he couldn't be in it. So I was like, why are you here, sir? And it's not, and I felt bad because it's Ricochet. And Ricochet, you shouldn't even say those things at all.
Yeah.
So it's like, I totally agree with everything you're saying. I thought the women should have closed, but continue on your thoughts.
Agreed.
I'm sorry, it's not my time.
I agree with you, but I know they're trying to put the stamp that Edge is the big mega returning star for WrestleMania season. So I understand their move to put that in the main event, have that be the final shot. But when I think of the Royal Rumble, I think of a match that makes a new star. I think of Austin in '98. I think of Shawn Michaels in 1995. To a lesser extent, I'll think of Shinsuke Nakamura in 2018. But this matchup was the women's matchup was the first time in a while that they did that. But it had all the elements that you also expect from a Royal Rumble. They had different narrative threads. You had the Billie Kay comedy section with the headshots, giving it to anybody. She was on point. It developed over time because she gave it to just enough people. Then she had her little union with Jillian Hall, which was a great return. Billy and Jilly. Then she had a reunion with the Iconics, which then Ruby Riott came out, so she was conflicted. Do I go with the Iconics? Do I stay with the Riot Squad? Then she helped the Riot Squad eliminate Jillian Hall, and then she was eliminated by the Riot Squad. This put over Billie Kay. This was just smart booking, and it did a great job of doing that. Then you had the Rhea Ripley dominant section where she's throwing everybody over the top rope. Then you had that final three with Charlotte, Rhea, and Bianca. And the one thing that I do disagree, I think, yes, it was three people that I could believably see winning because I know the WWE and I know how they feel about Charlotte Flair.
Right.
So the fact that you had Bianca and Rhea eliminate Charlotte, that was such a smart move based on what happened last year with that whole story. And the fact that Charlotte was the one person that the fans would be upset with winning. You then had two competitors who the fans would not be mad at. There might be some people that are big fans of Bianca, some people are big fans of Rhea who would get upset at the opposite, but no fan outrage like there would with Charlotte Flair. So this worked as a final two, and it gave us one of the best final twos that I've seen in a women's Rumble. So that was a real highlight. So I really did enjoy the Women's Royal Rumble. It made a star, put over a couple of new people, so it was good stuff. But you guys got to answer, who do you see Bianca versus... Well, no, I got to answer, actually. I got to answer, who do I see Bianca versing at WrestleMania? I agree with John. I think Krssi Love, you said the same thing. It's got to be Sasha Banks. I mean, that...
Busy.
That type of matchup, it's just like it writes itself, and they've already established them being tag team partners. You have the drawing in comparison between the two, so it's perfect. I honestly hope they let them main event one of the nights of WrestleMania. What do y'all think?
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree with you. Absolutely, they must. It has to be. Let the men do one night and then the girls do one night. It got to be. If it's 2 nights. 1 and 1. Got to be 1 and 1.
Absolutely.
It has to be. If you're doing it, you're doing a disservice to your people. Sorry.
Yeah. There's so much to it too, right? Sasha Banks is Sasha Banks' story. Sasha Banks is the last horsewoman to really get that shine, and she's doing strides in everything. And people often talk about, because their gimmicks are kind of similar, Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks, but to me, honestly, I think Bianca Belair is such an advanced competitor, such an advanced athlete. You can build the story in, like we were talking about earlier. Like, this is what happens after the evolution, where Bianca's whole story could be, look, no disrespect, you're great, but I am the better version of you. I'm what you try to be. And it's literally Sasha Banks starts, like, because Sasha Banks would kind of have to take the tweener role there, which she's great at. But it would be that whole thing of, like, going up to WrestleMania, she's just getting more angry and getting more jealous and more jealous. And at the end of the day, she cannot overcome Bianca Belair. And then she raises Bianca Belair's hand in victory, and it's kind of like a modern passing of the torch, as opposed to being like, okay, cool, this person's been around for like 15 years and they passed the torch. I think this is a really modern, unique way to do it with two competitors, that it's just like, yeah, here's what we were. Now here's what we are. And what we are is just an amazing future. And I agree, it should headline. I'd even go further. It should headline the main night. Whichever one they feel like is the main night, this needs to be the main event of that. 100%. And you know what? Do it up. Have Snoop Dogg help her come down to the ring too. 100%. Like, do it up. Make it feel like Sasha Banks is going to win.
WrestleMania night, yes.
I agree. Like, they're gonna have fans in attendance for the first time, so you're right. You might as well do it up. You also had at the Royal Rumble Roman Reigns defeating Kevin Owens in a last man standing match to defend the WWE Universal Championship match. Great match. Convoluted finish, yes, to the ending. What was your thoughts on the handcuff botch from Krssi Love?
It's so sad because the match was great. Again, those two guys, they're gonna each. I think it kind of messed up the goodness that the match was having. It kind of it drooped down really like fast. Like, it just lost the momentum. And I think they knew that they were losing, and they were just trying to like hurry. And they you could see that, like, you can't show the panic face. You know what I'm saying? You can't show like, oh fuck, like this is not supposed to be happening. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that's what they showed, and they showed it to us, and that's why I felt like the ending got botched up a lot, but I still think it was a great last man standing match.
I agree with you. Great spots, the forklift, swanton bomb. John, yes, I have a very important question for you.
Oh boy.
Who got hit with the golf cart better? Kevin Owens at the Royal Rumble 2021 or Sammy Guevara last year in AEW?
Oh man, I think Sammy Guevara took the hit better. I think Sammy Guevara bounced off that thing. Kevin Owens just kind of like, and no disrespect, Kevin Owens kind of clumsily, gravity kind of took him, did something with him. You know, I think it was good, but Sammy Guevara did it better.
Yeah.
Gotta give it up for Sammy for sure. So, and then the final notes from the Royal Rumble was Drew McIntyre defeating Goldberg to successfully defend the WWE Championship match in another very quick matchup, but at least it was fun while it lasted. And Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler defeated Charlotte Flair and Asuka to win the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. I have a final question about the Royal Rumble to you, John. Sure. Your thoughts on the Lacey Evans and Ric Flair storyline?
I am a big Lacey Evans fan.
Okay.
Yeah. And you know what? Here's my thing when it comes to wrestling. Because it is depicted in a fantasy environment, I am way more willing to let a lot of things go. Like, if this was actually happening in the real world, I would be very crass at this. But because this is happening in WWE, I'm like, I know what you're doing. Like, she's playing the part really well. I do think that the Ric Flair becoming, over the last couple of years, the number one, the guy who cries a lot, and number two, the crotchety old guy who goes after all the young women, I think that's a little creepy. But Lacey Evans is doing a bang-up job. I thought that was great how she came out in, not Charlotte's robe, I don't think, but Ric Flair's robe.
Yeah, it was Ric Flair's
great.
Yeah.
That was a nice little touch there. I thought that was, like, yeah, it was perfect. And you know what? I think that this feud does feel like something. You know, it doesn't feel big, but it feels like something that she could sink her teeth into. It feels like something that is worth Charlotte's time to invest into. And I think it's cool. I think they're doing good work with it. Please make this as far as it goes. No further than this, please. Then we're going to have some problems. But
You don't want a hotel scene or anything, love?
I could do without that.
All right, so yes, that is all we had from the Royal Rumble, all the fallout and everything else. Leave us a comment in the comment section below what you thought about the Royal Rumble. Of course, what you thought about AEW and New Japan. I'll have another note on that going further on the news rundown. But our special guest, John, here has to run. Please, thank you for joining us. Please come back on the show. We welcome you back, sir. A lot of fun chatting about wrestling, hearing about what's going on with you. Please tell the people where they can find you on social media, what you got coming up, anything else you want to promote.
Of course, yeah. Thank you guys for having me for the second time. It is always a privilege sitting down with y'all, talking wrestling, and talking not just about WWE, talking about everything, because that's what we're here for. Wrestling is not just one company now. It is it is so many companies and so wide. For myself, you could find me basically anywhere: Twitter, Facegram, whatever that is. You know what I mean. At John Kiernan Music. You could find me on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music. Search just my name, John Kiernan, Kiernan. You'll hear some awesome music. And if you're a wrestler that needs a theme, please feel free to shoot me an email. Go ahead, hit me up on there, johnkernanmusic@gmail.com, and we will get something set up for you. Got a lot of really cool themes coming, got a lot of really cool opportunities. So definitely thank you for the opportunity to be here. I'll obviously let you guys know, let the fans know, and let everybody know. So once again, thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us. Always a great guest when you're on with us. So definitely come back in the future and stay safe out there, brother.
You too, my guys. Take it easy.
Take it back. So yes, we thank John for joining us. We have two other things that we missed during the week, Miss Krssi Love. We had Edge on Monday Night Raw make his Monday Night Raw return, in-ring return, going one-on-one with his longtime rival Randy Orton in a build one last time matchup. Thanks to a distraction from Alexa Bliss, Edge got the victory. What was your thoughts on this match being made for Monday Night Raw this week? Billed as one last time, and that ending with Alexa Bliss with what I like to call chocolate milk or black slime running out of her mouth.
I don't believe this is one last time. I'm not buying it, but whatever. We'll take it for now, supposedly. Well, we have to have somebody, get Randy Orton distracted. So, he had to fight someone, had to be Edge. And, that whole thing of feud have to keep going on and on. We have to keep seeing what's going to happen or how they're going to bring the Fiend back or whatever. We got to see this. So, I do not believe that this is their last time. No.
I mean, I would hope not. Because if it was the one last time, the fact that this is a match WWE thought was going to main event WrestleMania as an I Quit match for the WWE Championship just 2 months ago. And now it just gets thrown out there on a Monday Night Raw, not even announced at the top of the show, not even announced on their social media. He literally was a Randy Orton promo, and then they come back to the announcers and they're like, Edge versus Orton one last time. Like, what?
Don't you hate that though? Like, I feel like is like they're just surprised as we are. It's like they just got the information just as fast as we did, or like delivering it to us.
You didn't want to tell me like beforehand, and then you add in the fact that you had the Alexa Bliss distraction. I'm sorry, like I understand that's his storyline, that's his main feud right now, but the Edge and Orton story has been so real and driven in reality so much.
You need Alexa Bliss there.
Exactly. You didn't have to have Alexa Bliss there. Edge should have got the victory on his own. And then after the match, do whatever you want to do with Orton, the Fiend, and Alexa. It felt disjointed.
That's why I said that's not going to be the last time. They got to go against each other like a more cleaner version of it. I don't know, but who knows? They always contradict themselves, so it's not going to be the last one.
You're probably You're probably right, unfortunately. But we talked about earlier in the show that Edge also showed up and warned Drew McIntyre. He said that he's playing a dangerous game and he needs to be careful. And then then our WWE champion Drew McIntyre turned and he ran into his former best friend Sheamus, who turned on Drew McIntyre, giving him the bro kick and saying that he wants to go after the WWE Championship. Drew McIntyre later in the night said that he will fight Sheamus for the WWE Championship. What was your thoughts on another thing just thrown out there on this episode? I will say, though, this episode was much better than other weeks. I mean, although I'm going to complain about them just randomly throwing Edge and Orton out there and just randomly having Sheamus turn here after building it up for 2 months.
Yep.
This was a lot better show. I felt like I had actually seen something noteworthy after investing 3 hours. So at least there was that with this episode of Raw. But what was your thoughts on the Sheamus turn?
Like you said, you've been building on this. I didn't think it was. They probably could have did it one more week, maybe or so. But I'm not mad at it. You know, like, okay, he's gonna turn heel now. Okay, so what is he now going to do to Drew? Okay, let's see what happens, because now, you know, of course, like, Keith Lee is in the, you know, the background, and he's not there right now. So I guess they can put more shine on Sheamus and Drew, and let's see what happens per se. Just don't throw him in don't put him on SmackDown like you did the other week and just throw him out there to be, you know, tag teaming with other people for nonsense. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're gonna do it right, let's do the heel turn the right way.
Yeah, you gotta go all in, as we always say. You gotta go all the way with this type of stuff. And then the final note that I got from Monday Night Raw is Lana and Naomi won the number one contendership for the WWE Women's Tag Team titles in a 3-way against Asuka and Charlotte, as well as Dana Brooke and Mandy Rhodes. What was your thoughts on Lana and Naomi becoming the number one contenders and their returns at the women's Royal Rumble?
I thought both Lana and Naomi did great at the Royal Rumble. I am happy that Lana got her vengeance against Nia and Shayna. Well, no, she got it with Shayna too, right?
No, just Nia.
Just Nia. Yeah. But I'm happy because Nia was more of the bullier to her anyway. Yeah. So yes, I'm happy that she finally got some shine. Naomi did great at the Rumble, I feel like, and then it had like her and Bianca had a bunch of big spots too they were fighting each other a lot during the Rumble. So I was happy that they came back. Putting them in a tag team, though, I didn't get it, really, but the women's tag, there really isn't a women's tag division, but hey, it is what it is. I feel like they need to stop doing this and just give it to Ruby and give it to the Riot Squad. Like, let them shine a little bit. They are really, why am I losing her damn name right now?
Ruby and Liv.
Thank you, Liv. Liv and Ruby are great, and let them shine as a tag team. Like, let them do this. They can do so well as a tag team champion. I mean, they don't really give the girls much shine as the tag division anyway. But hey,
gotta take a chance.
Right. I don't see Lana and Naomi winning, but hey, go ahead, have fun. We'll do it. We'll see it. You'll see it on another. We'll probably see it on. So they're on Raw then?
Yes.
So I guess the girls are going to be doing this on Raw. Okay, great. Have fun.
At least it pays off the amount of weeks they dedicated to the Lana Goes Through a Table storyline.
Yes. So, that was a great ending for Lana to finally, even though she was like the last person at Survivor Series. But yes.
You'll never forgive that, will you?
I will never forgive it. No, I will not.
Understandable. Finally, Impact Wrestling had Moose pin Rich Swann, so that's the TNA Heavyweight Champion, pinning the Impact Wrestling Champion in a tag team main event where it was Moose and Chris Bay versus Swann and Tommy Dreamer. The Good Brothers will verse the Beer Guns, which is James Storm and Chris Sabin for the Impact World Tag Team titles for next week's edition of Impact Wrestling, which comes just days before No Surrender, where the Impact World Tag Team Champions will defend against AEW's Private Party. So that transitions us into our top news story, and our top news story has to do with one Lars Sullivan. Lars Sullivan was released from WWE this week, or the report came out. So PW Insider reports that they have confirmed with WWE officials that Lars Sullivan is no longer employed by the company. The release marks the end of a troubled run in the company for Sullivan, real name Dylan Miley. After signing with the company in 2013, Sullivan made his debut in May of 2017 on NXT. His run in NXT continued until the next November, when he was included in vignettes promoting his main roster debut. This is the same vignette that had Lacey Evans, Nikki Cross, EC3, and Heaven Machinery.
Yes, I remember that. Yes.
However, it's funny. However, his planned debut in January of 2019 on Raw was cut after he reportedly had an anxiety attack, and he did not debut on the main roster until the Raw after WrestleMania of that year, when he attacked Kurt Angle following Angle's retirement the night before. Sullivan began attacking members of the Raw roster, but he was pulled from TV after several racist and homophobic remarks he made on an online bullying forum dating back to 2012 surfaced, including shots at the New Day's gimmick and more. Sullivan was fined $100,000 for the comments by the WWE and apologized for them. He then suffered a knee injury a month later that kept him out of action for all of 2019. Sullivan didn't return until October of 2020, when he attacked Jeff Hardy, Riddle, and The Miz. And the angle didn't go anywhere, and he disappeared from television again right after. Fightful Select has reported that they spoke with Sullivan, who confirmed and addressed his release. He said he was surprised WWE didn't announce the news themselves, but figured it was due to them being nice to him. He complimented how his release was handled, noting it was done with compassion and honesty, and he kept reiterating that he was treated well by the WWE office and locker room, and he wasn't bullied. He added that his anxiety issues had become so bad that he wasn't able to eat on days he was set to appear on television, and he had trouble sleeping. He also lost his father last year, which added to his emotional problems. Sullivan said that he was his own worst enemy, though, and owned up to multiple issues that stopped him from succeeding in WWE, which he said was his dream job. And he likely, he said he likely wouldn't wrestle anymore, and called his past actions idiocy and selfish behavior. And he added that he was grateful for his time in WWE. So what are your thoughts on the release of Lars Sullivan and the fact WWE haven't made a formal announcement yet, Miss Krssi Love?
I feel bad. Like, after you just told me all those things, he lost his dad, he's dealing with anxiety. It's a lot to deal with. Like, he has to get himself together. He can't work unless his whole self is 100%. And I guess I'm happy that he said that they treated him well, that there was, there's no bad feeling, so he understands what happened. So he's not, I'm sure they did this just, for him to like get himself together. And I'm sure if he works on getting himself and everything that he needs in order, he probably will be able to come back. I think that this is something that is a health issue, and something that he has to get himself together. And like he said, he's his own worst enemy. So he has to fight with these things and get the help that he needs in order to succeed. So I'm happy that he's released, and so that he can get that time, so he can feel better and do things and focus on the important things before you can be a performer.
It's the right way to go about things, and you have to I think someone said it on the comment section when I did Wrestling Daily that Lars right now, he doesn't need a spotlight, he needs support.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's what's best for him right now, because regardless of how you feel about what he said, his homophobic and racist remarks, and I
Oh.
don't like what he did. I think that he's not a good person because that came from a real place. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't too fond of him as a performer.
Same.
He was kind of there. He was a big guy. He was gonna get pushed, but his past came back to haunt him.
Once I saw him,
So,
I was like, oh, another big guy. Great. Okay. Like, Vince loves big guys.
and I made the point to also kind of say, like, I'm not just picking on him, because it's different with every wrestler and what they do out off the camera and not in the ring. So with Chris Benoit, I loved him as a professional wrestler.
Right.
But what he did outside the ring, I can never forgive. So it
Mm-hmm.
becomes the water becomes muddy. Of, can you celebrate him as a performer without celebrating him as a man? With this situation, it's a lot different because
Yeah.
I didn't really enjoy him as a wrestler,
Right. Right. Right.
and he sounds like an absolute scumbag in real life. So kind of shrug at this point.
It's
But
true. It's very true. Yep.
how would you describe his run in WWE, Miss Krssi Love?
Meh. Like, I don't know what run it was because I didn't really. What run? Like, let's just call it what it. Again, I wasn't really a fan. I said another big guy. Whoa, we need more big guys. Okay, like throw him in the whole roster of all the other guys you got. Like, I didn't think he really had a run, to be honest, because he didn't do much. And I mean, I didn't like what I saw. So didn't I? When I saw him on TV, okay, I can go to the get something from the fridge, or I can change put the TV on mute. I'm gonna look at my phone right now. Things like that.
Damn, I love when Krssi Love keeps it real. So,
That's what I'm here for, friend.
but do you believe what we know about WWE and their past with big guys that look like Lars Sullivan? If his past wasn't drug up, do you think Lars Sullivan would have been successful in WWE?
I don't think he would have been.
No, why
No,
not?
and if he was, maybe he would have had to go like into like the UK. Maybe if he was at NXT UK and go against like Balta and things like that, probably so. But like, it's so many big guys that we have over on this side, and then but so much the big guys can do after a while. Like, I don't think his run would have been that good. I mean, because from what I seen, or from what I saw, it wasn't much delivery. It wasn't much things happening anyway. So.
That's a fair assessment from what you've seen from Lars Sullivan. I'm not going to argue for him at all. So yes, this is good points made all around. We hope that he gets the help that he truly needs, because anxiety is a real thing. So there are definitely hotlines out there. There's websites that you could definitely go out and look up if you need to talk to somebody. We give out all of our social media, and it's not just to keep in touch with us as far as what's going on the social, on like YouTube and what we're doing. It's for, if you want to reach out, you just want to talk about wrestling, get your mind off of real life things. I'm here for that. I will talk about wrestling with anyone. I'm pretty much an open book when it comes to that. So I will talk to you about wrestling. Get your mind off of that, because anxiety is a real thing. And I've had to deal with it myself. I can also relate to Lars because he lost his father last year. I lost my father last year, so I relate to all of that and I understand where he went through. But that doesn't make any of what he said in the past acceptable. So it is what it is. And WWE is going to move on just fine, and we hope he does as well, do the best in his future endeavors. But we have more news to discuss, Miss Krssi Love. We have our news rundown of all the promotions, so let's get to it. So WWE news, of course, Miss Krssi Love, you think that I was going to have you on. Maybe if it was just me and Top Guy JJ, I would have forgot to mention this topic, but because it's you, we are, and that's our good friend Bad Bunny.
Bad Bunny. I love it. Bad Bunny.
Reggaeton rapper Ed Starr, who made his WWE debut at Royal Rumble 2021, performing Booker T with the WWE Hall of Famer himself, is apparently going to have a match at WrestleMania,
No.
following his altercation with the Miz with the Miz and John Morrison at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view and the next night on Raw. PW Insider reports that he was working out at the WWE Performance Center this week, and reportedly it's in preparation for a supposed match with himself and Damian Priest versus the Dirt Sheet duo. Krssi Love, what was your thoughts on Bad Bunny getting involved in the Royal Rumble and his altercation with the Miz and Morrison?
I thought it was amazing. I thought it was it neat because at that point in the Rumble, it was like, okay, it's like starting to get a little, and his spot was better than Snoop's.
He did know how to jump off the ropes better than Snoop. That's true.
Better than Snoop. You know what I'm saying? So I'm actually and shout out to them for like giving Bad Bunny that spot, and also help giving Damian Priest his WrestleMania match. Like that's cool. Help give because he's gonna go. They're gonna win. They're not gonna lose. So give like Damian Priest is now on the main roster. He shouldn't wear white. I didn't like the white outfit, but hey. But I'm happy that he has a WrestleMania match, and he's gonna be with Bad Bunny. I love Bad Bunny.
I love that you always give fashion tips. You always give fashion tips in between talking about the wrestling. I love it.
I have to.
What's your thoughts on there's been a lot of wrestling fans this week saying who when it comes to Bad Bunny, as you say. I am one person who I'm kind of in the middle of this. I don't think there's two sides of the road. I think there's somewhere in the middle, a shade of gray, where I am a wrestling fan. I did know of Bad Bunny before the Royal Rumble, and that is because I grew up with the Puerto Ricans. I know Puerto Rican females that I used to work with, and literally my Puerto Rican male fans, literally the ones that don't watch wrestling, they were like, yo, what's Bad Bunny doing on the Royal Rumble, bro? So it's just like this.
I got one better. I got one better for you. One of my wrestling friends, his mom speaks only Spanish, and she watches Telemundo, all those channels. She said to her son, she saw it on Telemundo, do you know that Bad Bunny gonna be at the Royal Rumble? That's why. That is an international star. So once you start, it's going to bring more people. Oh, what's he doing on there? And they're gonna see, one, that he performed, and two, that he actually was interacting with the wrestlers. So it's gonna bring more viewers to see. Cash cow. They're not stupid. WWE is a lot of things, but they're not really that stupid. When it comes to the dollars and the coins and stuff, they smart when they want to be.
They like money too much to be that stupid.
They love money too much. There you go. Yep.
This is true. And I thought it was excellent use of Bad Bunny to use him to push Damian Priest. Like, it put Damian Priest in a spotlight. It made it different from other NXT call-ups that we've seen in the past. And I just enjoyed his use on Monday Night Raw. I thought it was really good. And if he's a true wrestling fan, which it seems like he is, I enjoyed him coming in, living his dream, coming in and performing at WrestleMania. It puts a spotlight on Damian Priest. It gives Miz and Morrison a nice, fun match at WrestleMania that fits their gimmick as well. So it makes too much sense.
And you gotta have some type of celebrity pop or buzz at WrestleMania. So let that be one of the celebrities. And the WWE has always had a celebrity either in a match, call a match, that's their pillar, that's their Oscars. So they've always had celebrities drawn in and to do something on their show. So why not bring this superstar who has a song after Booker T? like you said, we already knew who he was, but now a lot of people, what's he doing over there? Let me go check it out and see, and bring them to see what's happening on wrestling and maybe become a fan. Who knows?
Yeah. This is how fans are built, and they're built around this time of the year. And you're right, it's always had celebrity use. And regardless of if you knew Bad Bunny before Royal Rumble or not, it doesn't matter. This is a better scenario with a celebrity coming in than Snooki and Kronk, in my opinion. And
I thought Kronk was horrendous last year. I so hated the Kronk Mania thing last year. It made me cringe. I was so disappointed. And last year, it was thrown together because of the pandemic. They had to do what they had to do. But oh my God, Kronk should just do football for the weekend. You know what I'm saying? Just do football. I don't think that they're gonna win this weekend. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about. So
Hey, we'll get Super Bowl predictions at the end of this. But yes, I think this is just a good use of Bad Bunny, and I think that celebrity use is always good for WrestleMania season because it attracts different eyes, and I'm all for that. But one question I did want to ask you, because you weren't with us that week, what was your thoughts on Cardi B's interaction with WWE a couple of weeks ago?
Oh yeah.
With Lacey Evans on social media.
Okay, so I think Miss Lacey overstepped and didn't understand what she was doing. And, I love it. I hope that it does happen. I love Cardi. That's my girl. I would love to see her on it come in some kind of way. But Lacey just... It cringed when I even read it. I'm like, oh, Lacey, like, what are you doing? Like, you, and that's one thing. People misread things, and she didn't understand, the level of what this is. Like, especially if you're supposed to be doing kayfabe, you did it wrong, sis. Like, you're making, like, you're doing this bad, girl. Like, I would love to see the interaction between the two happen. I think it would be great. I think you can show the Bronx, Cardi, even though Cardi is more toned down now. She got money now. She's very rich and she got a child. So I don't know if we're gonna get that hood Cardi that we've grown to love from before. But would love to see her at WrestleMania. I think it would be great if they can negotiate or give her the dollars and cents that can get her to come on and do something. I think it would be good.
You're all for Cardi B and WWE. Gotta love to see it. WrestleVotes tweets this week that sources said the vibe last night at the Royal Rumble was the most upbeat locker room he's seen in a while. This time of year usually does that, but also went on to say that the road to WrestleMania has real meaning this year, serving as a small light at the end of the tunnel, end of the dark tunnel, due to fans coming back in. So good note for the wrestlers out there at WWE.
I was saying when you were watching the especially the women's one, the women's Royal Rumble, the last couple of minutes, especially with Charlotte, Rhea, and Bianca, do you understand what the crowd would have been doing? The pop that the crowd would have been doing if they were in that building? Like, this is where I'm like, you guys we got to get this pandemic down, because we got to get fans in there, because this is what we crave. Like, this is what we feed off of, and then they would feed off of us. So those spots that last couple of minutes would have been so beautiful if it was a crowd there. It was beautiful. It was a great Royal Rumble. But if a crowd was there, it would have been so beautiful.
I totally agree with you. Bianca winning would have got a huge pop, and then her babyface promo, which was absolutely tremendous, would have even got a bigger pop than that. And also, to give credit to the men's Royal Rumble, even though I said the women's was better, like I said, the Christian moment was great. Great there, but it would have been even better with a crowd. But even bigger than that, the ending with Randy Orton coming in, hitting the RKO, and then reversing it, I think that it would have got the gas on the RKO. People would have believed it was over, and Edge winning would have got a huge pop. I think it would have been great.
Because we all knew Randy was playing, so we was like, okay, when is he going to come back? When is he going to, So that was that. We forgot to talk about that, but yes, that was actually a good. He got the RKO, but he still lost, so it was good.
Absolutely. Another note for WWE news: Mia Yim revealed in a tweet over the weekend that she had tested positive for COVID-19. This apparently changed WWE plans with her being part of the Women's Royal Rumble match. Fightful Select reports that Tony Storm was the one that replaced her. We want
Ah,
to send our best wishes and quick recovery to Mia Yim. And if he is affected as well, Keith Lee, who we haven't seen on television in the last
in a
couple.
while. I love her. I was so happy when I seen her come out.
You said Victoria?
No, I said I was so happy to see Tony Storm when she came out. I was really, really excited to see her come to the Royal Rumble. So I was great. That was a great replacement for Mia Yim.
Yeah, Tony was a nice touch to add some NXT talent in there. We have Mike Johnson of PW Insider reports that Carlito is expected to sign with WWE. Wrestling Inc. reports that Carlito will be coming on with WWE as a trial period ahead of a formal signing. Apparently, MVP was the one that pushed for him to get a job with WWE. How did you think Carlito looked at the Royal Rumble?
Look great. Like I was very surprised. I was like, another person that would have gotten a good pop would have been him as well. And the back and forth in the ring, I thought was good too. So I'm happy that he's doing. MVP's bringing a lot of gems back, you know. So shout out to MVP for trying those guys in there. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't have to always work on TV, but you can be helping in the background. You know what I'm saying? So that's a good thing.
You are correct. Mike Johnson of PW Insider also reports that there are currently no plans for Rhea Ripley, despite her official call up at the Royal Rumble 2021. So that is unfortunate news. Booker T confirms that independent wrestler AQA has been signed by WWE, and in ratings news, SmackDown 228 million viewers, which was down from last week. So we move on to AEW news. Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio, when addressing the working relationship between AEW and New Japan, said the pandemic likely sped things up, in his opinion. The only way to get Jon Moxley on programming taped in the United States for New Japan was to make a deal with AEW, as AEW previously wouldn't allow him to wrestle televised shows in the USA. New Japan Pro Wrestling reportedly wanted to meet with Tony Khan, which didn't happen at first, as they sent Chris Harrington at one point. The Young Bucks were also interested in making the deal. New Japan likely didn't know how successful AEW would be at the time. This was back, of course, at the beginning of 2019, so that's why things like turned away the way they did. So they needed Moxley to come back as IWGP US Heavyweight Champion, which needed Khan's approval, and had the pandemic not happened, Moxley would have just been able to go to Japan and perform there. But because he has to be in the US, that's why the Forbidden Door has been open. Are you as happy as I am that this Forbidden Door is open, Krssi Love?
Yes, I am very excited. I can't wait to see who else is going to go walk through the door. I'm so excited.
That's the interesting part. That's what I think is gonna. Yeah, it's gonna be.
It
fun.
Could be right, and they're making it fun. It looks like the guys are having fun. Like these brand to brand things. I keep reference to the brand to brand, but these different companies are like giving us like a whole plateau of like wrestling events that can happen all together, and that they is actually can happen, that you all can work together.
It's true. So
New Japan know each other anyway.
Exactly. They're all fans to begin with, so it just makes sense. So moving on to New Japan Pro Wrestling news. New Japan announced this week on Thursday that they are coming to Roku channel, which is on Roku TV, which makes them available in the United States, the UK, and Canada. They will have a weekly show, which will drop every single Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So very interesting time for New Japan Pro Wrestling coming to Roku channel. It's going to be big things, and what a week for New Japan coming on AEW.
Yes.
And then making this announcement.
Yeah.
So now they are available in the US. So you fans, you have no excuse for missing your New Japan.
Yep.
ROH news, looks like Brody King will be the next challenger for the ROH Television Championship of Dragon Lee. Impact Wrestling news, ODB made her return on Impact, siding with Jordan Grace and Jazz against Deonna Purrazzo, Kimberly, and Susan. You had Brian Myers and Hernandez versus Eddie Edwards and Matt Cardona made official for the No Surrender card on the 13th. They will also have the Triple Threat Revolver, which is a new style match coming at No Surrender, which is going to be on the 13th. And yes, we will have a preview and predictions of the No Surrender card next week on Tru Heel Heat 112. Cardona, aka Zack Ryder, spoke with Fightful Select and Indecent Culture and said that he currently does not have a deal with Impact Wrestling, which is very interesting. And then our final news note, MLW has announced that Leo Rush will face Laredo Kid, and it's made official for next week's MLW Fusion, and that's going to be an interpromotional title fight with the MLW middleweight and AAA cruiserweight titles on the line. So our last segment is, of course, preview and predictions time. This time we are talking about New Japan Pro Wrestling, New Beginning in Hiroshima. We talked about it a little on Tru Heel Heat 110, but superb. Final two matches from New Japan Pro Wrestling, New Beginning in Nagoya, with Hiroshi Tanahashi defeating Shingo Takagi to win the Never Openweight Championship. My God, that was a fantastic matchup. One of the candidates for match of the year back in
already
over 35 minutes. New Japan's got about like 5 or 6 of them already.
I'm sure.
Between the 2 nights of Wrestle Kingdom and this match, it's up there. If that's not your taste, Will Ospreay versus Kojima was a no disqualification match. Crazy bumps, going through ladders, going through tables, great stuff there. But Hiroshima, they have 2 bigger cards than even that we got in Nagoya. We got Gabriel Kidd and Yorimuro and Tsuji, the Young Lions, teaming up to verse Suzuki Gun of Kotamaru, El Desperado, and Minoru Suzuki. You got Master Wato going one-on-one with Bushi of LIJ. These 2 men have been going at it in tag team competition. Master Wato teaming up with the likes of Hiroshi Tanahashi and Kota Ibushi. Bushi teaming up with his fellow members of LIJ. But Bushi has been successful over Master Wato 2 times in the past in one-on-one competition. This is their 3rd match. Who you got, Miss Krssi Love? Master Wato versus Bushi.
Bushi.
Going with Bushi here. I am going to go with Master Wato. Let's make it a little different.
Okay. Can't wait to see what happens.
You got 5-on-5 action as Chaos, Yoshihashi, Tomohiro Ishii, Hiroki Goto, Toru Yano, and Kazuchika Okada versus El Phantasmo and Taiji Ishimori, who won the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championships from Suzuki Gun, from Suzuki Gun this past week on Road to New Beginning. They're going to be teaming out with Dick Togo, Yujiro Takahashi, and Evil of the Bullet Club. Chaos versus Bullet Club going at it. Always good right there. You got tag team action of Tomoaki Honma teaming up with the IWGP Heavyweight and Intercontinental Champion Kota Ibushi versus Tetsuya Naito and SANADA, building up to their matchup the following night on the 2nd night of New Beginning in Hiroshima. But the top 2 matches are this, and we're going to get predictions from Miss Krssi Love and myself. IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Championships are on the line. Gorillas of Destiny, Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, teaming up to defend their titles against Suzuki Guns, Zack Sabre Jr., and Taichi. This is a from Wrestle Kingdom 15, where the GOD defeated Suzuki Gun to win the titles. Tama Tonga has stolen the iron fingers of Taishi, so he can't use that to his advantage, and Tama Tonga has been going free will with usage. But who do you think wins this one? GOD versus Suzuki Gun? Well, no, versus the Dangerous Techers. I'll go call them by their duo name. Dangerous
Right.
Techers, Sabre Jr. and Taishi. Who you got?
I'm going with GOD for sure for the win.
We can agree on this one. Let's go with GOD to successfully defend. And in the main event, the junior heavyweights are given the spotlight once again. You got the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion Hiromu Takahashi. After beating Taiji Ishimori back at Wrestle Kingdom, he makes his first defense against Roppongi 3K's own Show of Chaos. So this got built up because it was Show who defeated Hiromu Takahashi in the Best of the Super Juniors tournament. He was actually the last man to defeat him in that tournament, and he's the only man he hasn't revenged the loss against. The other person that beat him in that tournament was El Desperado, who Hiromu beat in the finals. So now he wants to get his win back against Sho. Who you got? Sho versus Hiromu Takahashi for the junior heavyweight title, Miss Krssi Love.
This is a hard one. I want to say Sho, but I'm going to go with Takahashi.
I'm once again going to agree with you and go with Hiromu Takahashi. I said it once. I will say it again. I will say it every time we talk about Hiromu Takahashi. My absolute favorite wrestler in all of New Japan. I just love his energy. Love what he brings in the ring.
That's the one that wore that funny coat, right?
Exactly. He wears,
it looked like a whole bunch of troll dolls on him.
It looked like a Thanksgiving float.
Yes. And his hair's just be all over. I love it. Okay, yes. Yeah, he's definitely got to win.
Love him. Kota Ibushi, those are my two favorites in New Japan, if you're taking note, folks. And then we got the second night of New Beginning in Hiroshima. We got Yoshihashi, Tomohiro Ishii, Hiroki Goto in six-man tag team action. They're the Never Openweight six-man tag team champions. They're not defending here. It's non-title against the Young Lions of Gabriel Kidd, Yura Uemura, and Yota Tsuji. You got Kanemaru, El Desperado, and Minoru Suzuki teaming up again against El Phantasmo, Taiji Ishimori, and Yujiro Takahashi. You got Master Wato, Sho, and Honma versus Bushi, Hiromu Takahashi, and Tetsuya Naito of LIJ. You got Toriano and Kazuchika Okada versus Dick Togo, and Evil. You got Doki and Zack Sabre Jr. and Taichi teaming up to versus Jado, Tonga Loa, and Tama Tonga. And then you got the big one. For the IWGP Heavyweight and Intercontinental Championships is going to be Kota Ibushi making his second defense of the double straps against SANADA. These two men versed in the G1 Climax 30 finals. Really, really good matchup between the two men. And now we have a rematch here with the gold on the line. This is SANADA, I believe, second or third time getting a shot at the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. But can SANADA finally go to that mountain, climb that mountain, or will Kota Ibushi defend? Miss Krssi Love.
I think Ibushi will defend and he will win. That makes sense? Yeah. I hope so.
We agree once again. I think our boy is safe. I think that he will successfully defend the IWGP Heavyweight and Intercontinental Championships at New Beginning in Hiroshima. The question is, who will verse him next? I know New Japan's tradition with their in the beginning of March, they have the anniversary show. This is the 49th anniversary. In the past of the anniversary show, they've had the IWGP Heavyweight Champion versus the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. And I am begging. Bushi versus Hiromu. Give it to me. Give it to me, please. I want to see that at the anniversary show. I don't know about you. But that is all for another edition of Tru Heel Heat. It's always fun when it's me and Krssi Love. We have fun with Top Guy JJ, but you know he annoys me. I annoy him. But I always love when it's me and Krssi Love, because it's
Yes.
always a good time.
Yes, always, always, always a great time.
So to preview the lineup right here on the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel, go out of your way and watch my interview with Holodead of talking about Mission Pro Wrestling, Wishes Granted, her match with Genocide at the event Saturday, February 6th. You can watch it on Title Match Wrestling Network. A great in-depth interview where we talk about the business, her thoughts, her current position within the business, the road that she's taken in her business so far, being on commentary in Mission Pro Wrestling, who she thinks is the number one true heel in the business today.
Wow.
We've had it on the podcast. Just spoiler. But yes, we go in depth. It's a really good interview. You can check out the latest edition of AE Recap, Dark Power, Review of Honor, True Rewind, Mr. New Booty, talking about the booty man. Good stuff there. J New Japan talking about New Beginning in Nagoya. So that's going to be a good one as well. And we got coming up in a week's time, most likely, New Beginning in Hiroshima. I'm going to be with J News of J News Japan talking about the big shows for New Beginning for New Japan. So if you love New Japan, you love Tru Heel Heat, we bring it together and we're going to talk about it on a pay-per-view roundtable review. Miss Krssi Love, tell them where they can find you on social media and anything else you got going on.
I am the sensation Miss Krssi Love. You can find me on IG, Twitter, and on Facebook. That would be Krssi Love _, or just Krssi Love, or just plain old simple Crystal Lynch.
Nothing simple about you, sister. You can find me on Instagram at Tru Heel _Epic SP3. I will be getting a Twitter soon. I just want to put that out there.
Your own Twitter.
Yes, my own Twitter. I won't be being under the disguise of Tru Heel Heat very soon. But you can follow on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Tru Heel Heat. Of course, if you haven't already, you made it this far in the podcast. What are you doing? If you haven't dropped us a thumbs up, drop us a like if you enjoyed this podcast. If you have disagreed with something we said, let us know in the comment section below. We always love to have a discussion, talk about things, talk about wrestling. Let us know there. There is also the subscribe button. If you haven't already, please subscribe. We are less than 30 subscribers away from 1K. We are edging in. We are so close. We could taste it.
Yes.
Of course, push the bell to stay notified and press all for all notifications so you can always get up to date when we drop a video, especially our live streams. I gotta mention and hype up the last two live streams, which were so successful. Tru Heel Heat 110 was one of our best live streams yet. We had 75 live views, which was a benchmark for us. And then the Royal Rumble roundtable review the following night after the Royal Rumble set that even higher at 80 live views. So we're edging in. So we love the support. Please show us some more. Like, share, and subscribe. Of course, check out all of our partners and our friends. Wrestling Travel, Warrior Wrestling, Battle Club Pro, Mission Pro Wrestling. Like I said, Mission Pro Wrestling, that big event, Wishes Granted, February 6th, Boudreaux, Texas. Check it out. You could also check me out on Wrestling Daily, on the Wrestling Daily YouTube channel. If you haven't already, subscribe to there. Alex McCarthy, Louis Dangor, Stephanie Chase, me every Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. BST. And of course, check out Powered 4 TV for not only Tru Heel Heat, but my new show, Powered 4 SP3. And I'll be doing some on-camera work for Sports Keto Wrestling.
Nice.
I'll be doing their pay-per-view previews. I'll be doing one for Elimination Chamber coming up, and I'll also be a guest star on their live weekly podcast after SmackDown called Smack Talk with Richard Uzino. So check that out. Check all those stuff out. Big time for Tru Heel Heat. We are starting off 2021 on a good note, Miss Krssi Love, and you'll love to see it.
Yes, can't wait. Yes, let's go.
So until Tru Heel Heat 112 next week. If you are listening to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Anchor, Spotify, leave us a review. We are signing off for Tru Heel Heat 111 for the beautiful, lovely Miss Krssi Love. It is me, your Tru Heel Phenom SP3. For our special guest, John Kiernan. For Top Guy JJ, we are signing off until next time.